Welcome to Public Forum, a community outreach program produced at North Idaho College on the shores of Lake Coeur d'Alene. Featuring guests from around the globe addressing a wide variety of subjects, Public Forum serves to educate and enlighten. Please join host and moderator, political scientist Tony Stewart, in welcoming today's guest.
I'm so pleased to welcome you to our final program in this special series that we've been doing over the past 9 weeks about celebrating Canadian-American friendship. It's an appropriate one to have as our concluding program. We have very special guests today from the city of Coeur d'Alene and the city of Cranbrook, British Columbia. They've been with us today to talk about a comparison and contrast of the activities and the work of those two great cities, and I should add that they are sister cities. First of all, I welcome a friend for many years to our program. This is our mayor of Coeur d'Alene, Sandy Bloom, and Mayor Bloom, it's great to have you here, and we commend you for all the things that you're doing in your leadership for the city of Coeur d'Alene, and thank you for all that you and your staff have done to help make this possible today.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you for inviting us.
And I'm also very pleased to have Councilman Ben Wolfinger from the city of Coeur d'Alene, and he too has served with distinction, and I can't resist saying to him that, of course, I'm proud of him because he's a former student that's continued in dealing with public policy. Ben, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Tony.
And I'm so pleased to have three of our friends from north of the border. First of all, next to me here is Councillor Scott Manjack, and we've been happy to have you here today, and we look forward to the interview with you, and welcome to our city.
Thank you very much, Tony. It's a pleasure to be here.
And next to him is Mayor Ross Priest, the mayor of Cranbrook, and again, likewise, we're so pleased that you grace us with your presence today.
We're extremely happy to be here, and thank you for the invitation to be with you on the Popcorn Forum.
Thank you, and we have Councillor Alan Gordon, also from Cranbrook, and we look forward to the interview today. You gave us some insight into one of the very fascinating projects of your city, and so welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Tony. I'm very pleased to be here. We had a great lunch, and I really enjoyed the afternoon.
I want to start our interview today with Mayor Priest and from Cranbrook, and one of the things that was presented today, and I was interested in how they are so similar but also some differences. Would you take a few minutes to talk about your revenue and where it comes from and your budget process, and a little breakdown of where you get your main sources of revenue and how you spend those?
Sure, I'd be happy to, Tony. And we brought our thoughts and our questions down today to compare and to see how similar or dissimilar in some cases we might be with our sister city of Coeur d'Alene. And I discovered that we have a few different names for the same types of collections and expenditures that we share. And the city of Cranbrook is roughly 20,000 people, and we operate with a budget of about $25 million annually. And we've just gone through our process. Ours is a little different. We have a legislative requirement to establish our current year budget as well as a 5-year financial plan, and we're legislated to have that in place by no later than May 15th of that current year. We're also legislated to provide a balanced budget. We cannot, by legislation, go into any deficit spending. So it's a challenge every year as we try to juggle the books to make sure we have enough revenue coming in to pay the bills at the end of the day. And we've had a few changes in the last 10 years, as I was pointing out earlier this afternoon. There was a time when we enjoyed a direct tax transfer from our provincial government of in excess of $1 million, and that was as recent as 1991. But as we looked at the numbers this year, it's as little as about $40,000 or $50,000. So we've had to reshape the way that we do the business at the city over that last 12 or so year period. And now, reflective of that, about 62% of our revenue is from direct taxation, and that's significantly higher from what Councillor Wolfinger had described the city of Coeur d'Alene as today, and we'd like to get back to a way where we could be less dependent on that direct taxation. So we're working on developing opportunities around new economies like tourism opportunities. We have created a significant recreation complex in our city that's been open for 2 or 3 years. We have a Western Hockey League franchise in the city, the Kootenay Ice, that we invite all of you up to come to. Unfortunately, our season just ended the other night. We lost in the first round of playoffs, but we're extremely proud of that team. The tax collections fall in a way that we don't have a large industry base, and subsequently that direct taxation of the 62% or so of our budget is created by 60% of that 62% coming directly from residential properties. Even though we have a class multiplier way that we distribute our taxes to the businesses, to the residential, to the industry, our businesses, for instance, are 2.3 times more than our residential base is, but you can see by the 60% of that collected tax that it's significant pressure on our homeowners. So we strive continually to find new ways to do that. We have, like Coeur dAlene, we contract our protective services in the police with the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, and of our $25 million budget, some $2.6 million goes directly to for that police servicing, and about another 1.7 directly for our fire services. So that's a big segment of our budget. We've also had, with the recreation complex, a significant increase in our recreation portion of the budget. We're up in excess of 11% of our budget directly for recreation purposes. We certainly subsidize our swimming pool in the new recreation complex. We've got some new budget constraints because 4 years ago we introduced a public transit system into the city of Cranbrook. We have a growing population base. Fortunately, we're also growing our current retail opportunities, and we've been able to attract some significant major players in Real Canadian Superstores. Just opened a 140,000 square foot facility. Walmart came in a couple of years ago. They're about a 130,000 square foot facility. We've had several new additions like that, which has helped offset our taxes. But at the same time, we're staring at about a 3.5% tax increase in order to balance our budget this year.
You certainly get growth and get more revenue, but you also have more services you need. Your budget's about $25 million, is that correct?
That's correct, yeah.
Now, Ben, if you'll take it on the side of Coeur dAlene and talk about how it's similar and different.
Well, it is in many ways it's similar, as the mayor said, different names, but same sources of revenue, whether it be impact fees or direct taxation here, property taxes. I guess the major difference here is in Coeur dAlene, property taxes only make up about 15% of our total budget. It's about half of our general fund budget, which is about $18 million. The other $42 million is in our utilities,
so you have over a $60 million budget.
$60 million budget. And a good portion of that is our wastewater budget with a special bond for the expansion and updating of our wastewater treatment plant. And those services really pay for themselves, and I think that's the way it should be. We see other sources of revenue. We have a huge recreation department, and there are very minimal fees for that recreation department, but that helps pay for the part-time staff, for the softball and the football and all those great recreation programs that Coeur dAlene is known for. And those fees, we keep them real low so anybody can participate, and we even have scholarships for those who can't make those fees. And I think that's really important. We want people to be involved. Overall, I think people get a good bang for their buck in Coeur dAlene. I think they figure it's for about $2.70 a month. Everybody gets their streets plowed, and they get their streets swept 7 or 8 times a year. And I know that the local network ran a program here to call in on potholes. And Coeur dAlene didn't have any potholes because the streets are well maintained. We've got a great crew that do that.
You have another wonderful thing you've done too in some streets, that you have that plow that moves it away from your driveway. Believe me, I've celebrated that several times. The program goes so fast, and I want to, that's very helpful, and thank you very much. I want to go back to our friends from the north, and Councillor Alan Gordon. In your presentation earlier today, you talked about one of the questions we ask is what is one of your most proud projects. Would you share the one that you gave today?
First of all, I'd like to address the potholes, because if you have none, we'll give you some. We have a special pothole hotline, as a matter of fact. But what I spoke today about was our wastewater project, our utility. It's not a tertiary treatment like most communities have. It is an environmentally natural process that we introduce air into the lagoons and start the oxygenation process. and we carry that on to we pump it out of town in a pipeline to 2 very large cells, which that process keeps on going, and then we in fact ranch 1,660 acres that is split between about 1/4 between irrigated pasture, and the balance is on crop.
And so you let that set out there at the water for a good period of time?
Yes, a minimum of 30 days to any of it, but most of it sits anywhere from 8 to 9 months. And when we in fact spray that water, it is minimum recreational quality. It's pretty amazing what happens.
So, and with short time on the program, but show us some of the benefits from irrigating that land. And of course, you already got a health question that's really important.
Yes.
But you'll get an economic benefit.
Yes, and the health question has been minimized to nothing. When it started, you had to be inoculated and vaccinated to work there. Now that is an open site. We have no gates on that site.
Right.
And the economic benefits are that our cost per capita for our wastewater is about $15 against tertiary treatment, which is about $45 in our part of the world. And we also, the ranchers put back into the economy about $2 million a year, and they pay in fees directly to the city of over $100,000 a year. So all of those things are a benefit to us.
You're showing some real great environmental decisions along with economic prosperity.
That's why we're proud of it, is because there is no wastewater from the city of Cranbrook that enters any stream or lake. There is no wastewater leaves the site. And the benefits is it's created a real recreation site, because it's a heaven for the wild animals, the elk and the deer and the birds.
Yeah,
so there's a lot of that going on.
Our mayor, I've got her figured out. From the day one, she is really a visionary person, which I really like, and that's what you were doing. I think you put in about $10 million, and look at the benefits you're getting.
Yes.
And that's a bridge to our mayor. Mayor Bloom, I'd like for you to talk about some of your priorities and some of your visions. You put a committee together that came up with a long-range plan, and years ago we did those. I did some of those future Coeur d'Alene Tomorrow programs. But please share with us your vision for the future of Coeur d'Alene.
Well, first of all, my vision is the community's vision.
Right.
I hope I told you earlier
Yes.
this afternoon that vision was developed about 2.5 years ago, and we took about 18 months, a group of citizens from the city, and did a lot of work to put together that 2020 vision. I think that vision and what the community wants is really drives us largely in our goals and our priorities. And one of our challenges is we're growing very fast, and that's not a secret for anyone. And so we need to create jobs, and we work hard, and we will partner as often as we can to do so. So around that, I think one of our biggest priorities and visions is the educational corridor. And we're very proud of that, and we're proud to be one of 6 or 7 partners that hopefully will make quite a change in how this NIC grows, how the University of Idaho grows. And what does that mean for the community as we go out and recruit these corporations and jobs to our community? The first question they always ask is, what is your educational system like, and what are the opportunities in higher education? So we know that that's very important. We think it'll have a huge economic impact and a cultural impact. And you've heard me say often, quality of place is what Coeur d'Alene is all about, and the maintaining of quality of place and generational living. And I think the vision for the educational corridor really relates to both of those strongly.
I'm seeing that in both of these cities where you're planning ahead, and it's creating all kinds of benefits, not only for now but for the future. And that's, to me, that seems wise leadership when you're going to not just do band-aiding, but you're looking at the future. One other question to you, Mayor Bloom, and that is that with this education corridor, you're talking about within a fairly short period of time that 10,000 students will be served by the universities and the North Idaho College. Tell us why that is so important, both from a democratic viewpoint of an educated citizen electorate, but also what it means economically.
Well, again, economically, I think it provides our children the opportunity for an education, a good education, obviously. So we provide them the chance for better jobs, those that we hope to, create here. But a college we have studied and looked at, Tony, and any very successful small community has a higher education component. It just makes that community sound economically. It recruits those people into the community. Its job market alone. And this campus that we're talking about, I think, is really exciting because it's an urban campus. So part of the campus will be the hospital zone, part will be the school district, part will be the downtown. In other words, in order to service those people, we will be partnering with other components in the city, and that urban campus will build a much larger component right there.
Thank you very much. And that also builds a bridge to something that certainly all of you have been through, and that is elections. You're not appointed to these positions, and there's some major differences between the whole electoral process under the parliamentary system, and even goes down to your local government, than our presidential system and our single-member districts and all of that. So I'm with us, Councillor Scott Manjack, and you did a great job today explaining this. And would you share what you said earlier today with how you conduct elections in Canada?
Sure. Thank you, Tony, for the opportunity. Well, like our friends in the United States, on a federal level, we will have a federal election this year. And the main difference between the United States and Canada on a federal level is that whereas you have the capacity to have a president, say a Democratic president, and maybe a Republican House or Senate, in Canada we really don't have that. What we have in Canada is that I may like my local candidate for, say, the Liberal Party, but I may not like the leader of the Liberal Party. But when I cast my vote federally, when I vote for the Liberal representative, I am voting for the Liberal Party leader. So
for them to control the national government.
That's right. So I don't so much vote for the person, I vote for the party. And that's a big difference from what you have in the United States. And it also works that way provincially. But at the municipal level, it is truly different. At the municipal level, like our friends in Coeur, we truly vote for the person. In the municipal level, it's nonpartisan. You won't see too many politicians attaching themselves to an established political party at the municipal level. It's nonpartisan, so you're really voting for the person. So that's the main real big difference on a federal level, but municipal level, we have some similarities. Municipal level in Cranbrook, we have 6 councillors. So every 3 years, there's a complete, there could be a complete turnover. So every 3 years, so the election, there's a firm election date, the 3rd Saturday of every November, every 3 years. So
that's your council and your mayor both.
Yes, that's correct. So on next November 2005, we will be voting for 6 councillors and a mayor, and anyone is open to run as long as you're an eligible voter in British Columbia, and there's some other minor stipulations, but essentially anyone can run as long as they're an eligible voter, and all the seats are up for grab at that point.
But at your provincial level and at your federal level in Ottawa, if one political party gets the majority of the legislative, it's your house.
That's right.
Then they control the governor's seat in the provincial, and therefore they're controlling the provincial government.
That's right.
The same way at the national level.
Yes.
And so you never have a division between the legislative and executive operations by party.
That's right. That's correct. Essentially, that's correct. Like I say, you're really voting for the party, and at a federal level, for example, there's not a fixed election date. So when we give a mandate to the federal government who comes in, for example, currently we have a federal Liberal Party that's in, they don't have a fixed election date per se. They have a 5-year mandate, but they can call an election at any time within that 5 years. So say they're 3 years into their term and they have some favorable polls, they'll take a calculated risk and call an election. And that's what happened previous to this election. We had our past Prime Minister, he took a sort of read of the land and called his second or third election only 3 years into his term, which was quite unusual because you don't see that very often. So there's really not a fixed election date, but at a municipal level there is every 3 years. On time, there's a new election.
The British are the same way.
Yes.
Tony Blair has to try to decide when he's going to hold that next election. And things are, in politics you have good years and bad years, and so that's a thing very different from this country. I think something else on this program we should do for both cities. One of my purposes in this whole week symposium is to not only to appreciate one another more by meeting one another, but to get more traveling going back and forth between our cities and communities and beyond even our 2 cities. But we just should spend more time together because we're 2 wonderful democracies with wonderful people. So I'm going to start again with my friends from the north, and Mayor, I'll ask you this. if I'm coming to visit your city, and last spring I was up and spent a lot of time in the whole area in Banff, and wow, you have a beautiful country like we do. What would I look forward to seeing if I came and visited your city?
Well, you really pose a tough question, because I can't think of one specific thing I would advise you to, but I could give you several ideas.
That would even be better.
Certainly we have, as I mentioned earlier, a new WHL hockey team that we're very proud of. So we encourage people to come to our new recreation center to take those games in. It's also a family entertainment center where we have, for the youth in Coeur d'Alene might be interested to know, as a matter of fact, just this weekend we're having Nickelback perform in the city of Cranbrook, a current rock band in North America of some great fame from Hanna, Alberta. So we have that as an entertainment type of attraction. We have the Canadian Museum of Rail Travel, which is significant. Certainly in Canada, it is one of the largest present collections of railways. Cranbrook is built around the railway, the turn of the century. The reason for Cranbrook being in its geographical location is because CPR was given the land to put the railway through the city of Cranbrook. So that's an attraction to come to. But we have outdoor attractions. We have outdoor enthusiasts who, in fact, move to our city because they enjoy the outdoors. They like to recreate. They like to get into the mountains. They like to hunt. They like to fish. They like to snowmobile. They like to quad now. We have all of those outdoor opportunities available to us. You know, within an hour, we have an hour's drive of Cranbrook. Oh, gee, I don't know now, probably 20 golf courses that you could enjoy. We have half a dozen excellent ski hills for winter activities. We have a lot of opportunity around tourism. And just to put one little plug in, we're on a major mission now of expanding our airport, which will allow us to attract and have direct European charters fly into the city of Cranbrook, international charters that could land there to enjoy the recreation that they can find in the BC side of the Rocky Mountains. We live in a wonderful trench, and I encourage everybody to come up and see our part of the country.
That's wonderful, wonderful statement about your area. And Mayor Bloom, equal time for visiting Coeur d'Alene and our region.
In our region, gee, where do we start, right? Some things are in common. Golf is certainly in common, outdoor activities, skiing and so forth, but I think our activities in the summer are really strong with Art on the Green, of course, which is the last week of July, weekend of July, first weekend of August. That's a major event. Coeur d'Alene is a major event. Ironman, if you've never been to an Ironman, I encourage you to do so. It's just, it's not even describable as a spectator sport, and I think it's wonderful. They didn't mention this afternoon our Christmas celebration here, and that is a week-long celebration that draws a lot of people, and it's a special time to be in Coeur d'Alene. We also are getting national acclaim right now for our trail systems in our area and around our area, and probably 50 miles around our area. We are known nationally for our trails, so if you like to hike or bike, that's something that you really need to come to Coeur d'Alene to do.
And when you talk about Coeur d'Alene, it's C-A-R.
Right.
And what's that about?
Coeur d'Alene, right. That's if you enjoy old cars. And that's a kind of a 50s type weekend. A lot of music, a lot of entertainment, wonderful old cars. Those old cars that we, wish we had kept and kept in good condition.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of those collected.
That's in June, I believe.
That's in June, that's right, right.
In addition to all the golf courses, we have ski areas close by too, and both at Schweitzer and up in Shoshone County with Silver Mountain, and we even have we'll talk to our friends in Washington over at the Spokane Mountain where they have even lights at night. I do want to go back to our people. Whoever wants to answer this question, you're about to celebrate something very special in Cranbrook. We're airing this show in the summer of 2004, but in 2005 is a special year for you. Mr. Mamajek, would you like to take that?
I believe you're referring to our Centennial.
Yes.
Yes, it's Cranbrook's 100-year birthday next year, and we have a Centennial Committee. One of the councillors that came down with us is the chairperson of that committee, and he has a large organization behind him, somewhere between 20 and 25 volunteers, and we have slated a year of events right from January, ending up in November with a grand gala and ball. We've invited many past citizens back who are world-renowned in sports and in entertainment to come back to our community and join in the celebration. So it's going to be quite a year for Cranbrook.
Mr. Gordon, would you like to add to that some of the things you're looking forward to in that 100-year celebration?
I'm looking forward to the celebration. We always have a good time in Cranbrook, and I'm looking forward to some of the people that have left on to better things that come back to entertain. We have some wonderful professional athletes, the Niedermeyers, and a few of them that you might be familiar with on national hockey. But we also have some in the song and dance that are national, and I'm excited to have them coming. It'll be like a homecoming.
I'm sure you'll even have your Prime Minister there for this great celebration.
Well, we're certainly going to extend an invitation to the Prime Minister, but just on that note, I'd like to also add that we're extending an invitation to all of you from Coeur dAlene and all of the people around the area. You'll be getting certainly an official invitation as our sister city, but I'd like to encourage all of the residents from the area to come up and help us enjoy that year as well.
Oh, that'll be wonderful. We're getting a little short on time. We have just a little bit of time left, and maybe I'll just ask a brief around the table general question. What is, maybe I'll start over here with Ben on this one. What has been the most rewarding thing about today for you in relation to this?
I think it's putting faces with the names and realizing that even though there's an international border, we're not a whole lot different.
No.
And I think that's a real positive thing.
Mayor Bloom?
Building friendships. That's what you built this around, and it truly is the truth, building friendships.
Mr. Gordon?
I feel much the same way, and I just really appreciate feeling very comfortable, and I've appreciated as moderator that because this is not really my bag, the thing I
you're
like to
doing
do
great.
every day, but I felt very comfortable, and I felt very comfortable meeting the mayor and council.
Mayor Priest?
Well, as said across the table, this has given us an opportunity to rekindle the sister city concept that we have. We've had that between our cities for some time, but in my 5 years on council, this is the first time we've been able to get together as joint council meeting, and I'm going to suggest that the next meeting will certainly be up in Cranbrook. We'll be sending an invitation for one of our similar events.
Mr. Manchak?
All above, but also the sharing of information. Quite fascinating hearing how some of the things work on our sister city.
It's been one of the highlights of the North Idaho College Popcorn Forum Lecture Series and this program to be able to be a part of that. And we love bringing people together, and we've had a great day and a whole week. And by the way, don't forget Fort Steele. That's another wonderful place I've been to, and they were here this week too. Ladies and gentlemen, this brings to close our special series on celebrating Canadian-American friendship. Be with us again next week, and we'll discuss yet another issue. Until then, please have a good week. I am Tony Stewart.
Recorded on the campus of North Idaho College, Public Forum is the longest-running in-house college production on PBS. Each episode is pre-recorded live and is an educational outreach from North Idaho College. Please join us at this same time next week for another edition of Public Forum on this public television station.